Well, hello there, and welcome to my kitchen table. A place in most homes where we can sit with family and friends and just talk for hours. Let's see where we're off to today. We are off to Wallasey, and it's a town in the metropolitan borough of Wirral, Merseyside, in the northwest of England. It's at the mouth of the River Mersey on the northeastern corner of the Wirral Peninsula. At the 2011 census, the population was 60,284. I think it's gone up a bit since then. How can I put across to people who don't know her? Beautiful, kind, giving, always looking out for people, especially family. Bubbly, always had a laugh. She set her own goals and was achieving them, and she did it all with a smile on her face. Those were the words of Tim Edwards when he was describing the loving, beautiful daughter that had been taken away from him so brutally on Christmas Eve 2022. Elle Edwards was 26 years old. She worked at Nova Studio Beauty Salon as a cosmetologist, as well as working as a dental nurse in a local surgery. Ellie had gone out to celebrate Christmas. His sister had flown in from Dubai for the holidays, and they both headed off to the Lighthouse Inn in Wallasey Village. There, they met up with some friends for a night of singing, dancing, and celebration. At about 11:50, Ellie went outside to have a cigarette. She stood in the entrance of the pub with 5 other pub patrons, who she didn't know, but everyone was in the party mood because the Christmas countdown had started. Within seconds, there was the sound of gunfire, and a hail of bullets hit the small group of smokers. People actually reported 12 shots in total, and this was later confirmed by police. The target, or targets, for the gunman was amongst those in the group outside the front door with Ellie, and they had all been shot. Police and paramedics were called to the Lighthouse Inn in Wallasey Village just after 11:52 p.m, following the gunshots. Elle Edwards was immediately taken to Arrow Park Hospital after she suffered a serious gunshot injury to her head. She sadly died shortly after. 4 other men were also taken to hospital with gunshot wounds, one of whom, a 28-year-old, was in critical condition. Early on the 25th of December, the day after the shooting, Merseyside police confirmed that a murder investigation was underway to establish the circumstances of what had taken place. They also said that a cordon had been established in the area whilst officers carry out witness inquiries and examine any CCTV footage. Detective Superintendent Dave McCaughrean said that they believed the gunman left the pub car park in a dark coloured vehicle, possibly a Mercedes, shortly after the shooting. He also appealed to members of the public and anyone who was in the pub at the time of the shooting to come forward with information, saying, "I would ask anyone who was in the lighthouse in Wallasey Village last night who witnessed the incident or has mobile or CCTV footage of what happened to contact us as a matter of urgency." It was later reported by Merseyside police that almost 150 pieces of intelligence had been received from the public in relation to the shooting. On December 26th, police arrested 2 people and took them into custody over the shooting. A 19-year-old woman from Rockferry was arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to murder. She was bailed a few days later. Whilst a 30-year-old man from Tranmere, Birkenhead, was arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder, but he was actually returned to prison. Excuse me, frog in throat. He was actually returned to prison because he was out on licence. On the 29th of December, police said that they'd arrested a third person, a 31-year-old man from Tranmere, Birkenhead, in connection with the murder, and had taken him into custody on suspicion of conspiracy to murder. He was bailed on the 31st of December 2022. On the 30th of December, police said that the condition of the man critically hurt in the shooting was no longer life-threatening, and that the other 3 injured had also been released from hospital. On the 11th of January, police said that a 22-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of murder, following inquiries in mid-Wales, as well as a 23-year-old woman arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender. Both of them were from the Wirral. These arrests brought the total number of people arrested in connection to the shooting at that time to 5. Early on the 13th of January, police said that 22-year-old man named as Connor Chapman had been charged with the murder of Elle Edwards. He'd also been charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, 3 counts of unlawful and malicious wounding with intent to do grievous bodily harm, possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life, possession of ammunition with intent to endanger life, and the handling of stolen goods, namely a Mercedes A-Class. He was due to appear at Wirral Adult Remand Court later in the day. The 23-year-old woman was released on bail. The police also said that the investigation was still ongoing. Connor Chapman from the Woodchurch estate in Birkenhead was well known to the police. He'd been arrested on numerous occasions and had 19 convictions for 41 offences, including aggravated carjacking, threatening behaviour and disorderly conduct. His first court appearance was actually in 2014, when he was about 14 years old, and that was for shoplifting. In 2016, he was charged with being on enclosed or private property and driving a stolen car. In 2017, it was car theft and possession of illegal substances. He'd also violated the Community Behavioural Order, or CBO, that banned him from some parts of the Wirral. 2018, it was illegal substances again and carrying a weapon in a public place. Later that year, he was arrested after driving 60 in a 30 zone and failure to yield to officers. After a police car chase, he was found hiding in bushes, and he told the police he was just waiting for his mate. He was given 8 months in prison and banned from driving for 2 years. In 2020, he got 10 months for possession of stolen goods and carrying a weapon in a public place. He was inside again for dealing in illegal substances and the theft of 2 electric motorcycles soon after. He'd only been out for about 6 months when he slaughtered Elle Edwards and wounded 5 others. On the 6th of April 2023, Connor Chapman, now 23, appeared at Liverpool Crown Court via video link and pleaded not guilty to all the charges. Don't they always? A second man, Thomas Waring, also pleaded not guilty to possession of a firearm and assisting an offender by helping dispose of a car allegedly used by Chapman after the shooting. They were both remanded in custody and a trial was scheduled to begin on the 12th of June 2023. On the 13th of June 2023, the trial for Conor Chapman began at Liverpool Crown Court before Mr Justice Goose, with Nigel Power, KC, as the prosecutor. KC actually stands for King's Counsel, which means what it says, he is counsellor to the King. That's who he's responsible to. It just means he's a barrister. Regular solicitors or lawyers don't work in Crown Courts. You've got to be a barrister. The trial was attended by about 12 members of Elle Edwards' family. Mr Power said that Chapman was the shooter and that he had injured his 2 planned targets. He went on to say that Elle Edwards was out with her friends and she went out for a cigarette shortly before midnight. CCTV footage showed a man, who Mr Power identified as Chapman, walking through the car park before he opened fire on a group, which included Ellie. The court was told Chapman used a Scorpion submachine gun in the shooting and that he had injured 6 people, 1 fatally. Where the hell do you get a Scorpion submachine gun? In Birkenhead? It's another world to the one I live in, I swear. Mr Power said that Jake Duffy and Kieran Salkeld, who were both injured, were Chapman's targets for the shooting. He said that after the shooting, Chapman drove a stolen Mercedes to a home in Barnston, which belonged to his friend and co-defendant, 20-year-old Thomas Waring. In CCTV footage shown to the court, Chapman was actually seen walking towards his house, towards Waring's house, when he ruffled his long hair. And wherever the gun was, it was unlodged and he dropped it. So he probably had it in his armpit. And he stopped and bent down and picked it up and carried on walking. Clear as day, it's him. Mr Power said the shooting followed history between rival groups on 2 estates on either side of the M53 motorway. The M53 basically cuts the Wirral in 2. Goes right through the middle of it. He outlined a series of events including injunctions preventing Chapman associating with individuals, including Duffy and Salkeld. He also spoke of a burglary, 2 shootings, what happened in November and December respectively. The court heard that on the 23rd of December, the day before the shooting, Duffy and Salkeld had assaulted a guy called Sam Searson, who was from the rival estate and a known associate of Chapman. The incident was said to be the culmination of a gang feud in Wirral, where there had been 9 shootings in 2022 alone. Chapman denied murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, 3 of wounding with intent, 1 of possession of a firearm and possession of ammunition. Waring denied possession of a prohibited weapon and assisting an offender. Waring's lawyer said that he'd been attacked while in prison and accused of being a grass. He did not give evidence during the trial. Footage was played which showed Chapman in the area for 3 hours before seeing his target outside the pub, following him hurrying across the car park before opening fire on the group. Everything was there. In the footage, Elle Edwards could be seen collapsing on top of Salkeld, following 2 gunshots to her head. An autopsy showed Ellie had suffered unsurvivable injuries, and Mr Power said DNA evidence was found which linked Chapman to a bullet casing found at the scene. On the 6th of July, following the 24-day trial, the jury deliberated for 3 hours and 48 minutes. That's all they needed, because they'd seen everything that happened on CCTV. Chapman was found guilty of the murder of Elle Edwards. Guilty on one count of attempted murder and one count of assault occasioning actual bodily harm. That was for the Salkeld and his other oppo. 2 counts of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm and possession of a gun and ammunition. His co-defendant Wirral was found guilty of the possession of a prohibited firearm and assisting an offender by helping to burn out the stolen Mercedes used during the attack. Chapman is actually known to have said, I actually think it was to the police, when they said about them, well, the police pulled him about the Mercedes, and he said, well, I'm not the only one who uses it. The rest of the gang, sorry, I'll say it in proper English. It was used by all of his associates to carry out their dealings in illegal Class A and Class B substances. The judge at Liverpool Crown Court, Mr. Justice Goose, told Chapman, I am satisfied that you are a highly dangerous man. In this trial, we have all watched the CCTV and sound recordings of that shooting. It's utterly shocking. You carefully planned a revenge attack in gang rivalry. You had no thought at all for anyone else, least of all innocent people. On the 7th of July, Chapman was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 48 years. Wirral was also sentenced to 9 years in prison. With the 176 days served on remand taken into account, Chapman will become eligible to apply for parole on the 26th of November 2070. Just because he's eligible to apply for parole doesn't mean he'll get it. It also doesn't mean that if he does get parole, if he does get the application approved to apply for parole and comes up before the board may not give him parole. Hopefully. Tim Edwards, Ellie's father, said, it just means he's off the streets. Someone else is not going to suffer at the hands of him. Unfortunately, Ellie was his last victim, but thankfully she will be the last person he does anything to, and he can fade away. Merseyside Police Senior Investigating Officer, Detective Superintendent Paul Grounds, praised Ellie's family, who have remained dignified and composed despite being forced to relive the horrific events of Christmas Eve. He said, Chapman has continued to deny his involvement in Ellie's death, forcing her family to endure the ordeal of a trial where they had to relive over and over the last moments of her life. His cowardly actions on that night rightly shocked the whole of Merseyside and the UK. To fire at his intended targets while they were standing outside in a crowd shows the arrogance and contempt he had for anyone else. He then tried to evade justice by taking himself off to Wales, where he was eventually detained 2 weeks after Ellie's murder. He has continued to deny his guilt throughout the trial, but the jury seen through his lies and rightly convicted him. On the 21st of December 2023, it was reported that 4 more people had been charged with assisting an offender in relation to the shooting. They included 2 men, aged 42 and 54, along with 2 women, both aged 33. They appeared before Wirral Magistrates Court on the 15th of January 24 and were bailed ahead of another hearing at Liverpool Crown Court in February 2024. On the 12th of February 24, all 4 of the defendants pleaded not guilty to the charge against them at Liverpool Crown Court. A trial date was set for the 2nd of September 2024, and they were given conditional bail ahead of a pre-trial hearing on the 3rd of June 2024. Elle Edwards' funeral was held at St Nicholas Church in Wallasey on the 25th of January 2023 and attended by several hundred mourners, as well as hundreds and hundreds of locals lining the route of the glass hearse being pulled by 4 white horses. The pub where the shooting occurred was closed on this day as a mark of respect, with flowers being left at the entrance. It was a month after Elle had died. Tim Edwards, Ellie's father, is quoted as saying, "There's no future with gun crime. If you pick up a gun, your future is over, and everyone else is around you. It's dead simple, it's pointless and solves nothing. I want to see a positive that comes out of this. Ellie's name will be used for good in the future. She cannot be forgotten." A foundation to tackle gun violence, the Elle Edwards Foundation, was established in her memory by her father following Chapman's conviction. Tim Edwards said it would become his mission to end gun violence in Merseyside. Chapman actually had the balls to appeal his sentence in February 2024. Well, to appeal the length of his sentence. A hearing was held in London where senior judges rejected Chapman's appeal against the length of his prison sentence. He will serve 48 years in prison, and hopefully he'll rot there. Thank you so much for allowing me to tell you this story, and thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot. If you found it interesting, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Totally free to do. All it means is that YouTube will notify you when my next video is up. Okay? Oh, and remember, you should wear your smile like a badge of honour. I've been Sue, TTFN.